Hi, I'm Sammy Masters, and I've got a story to tell you about my music, where it all began. It all began, well, back in my home state of Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I grew up listening to the music of Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. And I used to stand around the bandstand when Bob Wills and his band came to play the Tulsa Stampede. That was at the fairgrounds in Tulsa. And it was really a big thrill for me to stand there. I was about 4 or 5 years old, and see all those guys in their big white cowboy hats, and they're playing their fiddles and their guitars and just having a good time, and the people enjoyed it so much, and I guess I enjoyed it as much as anyone else. And I grew up around the Tulsa area. I did some singing there when I was 10 or 12 years old. I sang with a band called Art Davis and his Rhythm Riders on KTUL radio. And I also did a few guest spots down at Kane's Academy with Johnny Lee Wills, Bob Wills' brother. He had a daytime show there at noon. And it was just a big thrill for me to go down and play those big bands like that back in those days. And after my growing up in Oklahoma, I came to California where I finished high school. And while I was out here as a teenager, I sang with Ole Rasmussen's band, big Western swing band, at the 97th Street Chorale down in South Los Angeles. And it was a great band and a great experience, because most of the artists who came through there would always wind up at the 97th Street Chorale doing a guest show, guest shot, and I met a lot of wonderful people, wonderful musicians, and I learned a lot about Western swing from Ole Rasmussen and his band. And I finished high school here, and then I did some recording. My first record came out on Cormac Records in 1950-51. Johnny Horton and I were two of the country acts on Cormac, and we had a TV show together. Johnny Horton and I did. It was a 15-minute show every night on Channel 13, and we would sit around a little campfire and would just play our guitars and sing songs back and forth. And it was called Song Trails, and it ran for, I guess, about a year and a half. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of wonderful people there, like Betty White, the very famous actress. She had a little TV show there, and it dealt with animals. Betty White is quite an animal lover. And they had their offices in trailers, and she had a chimpanzee in the trailer, and, once in a while those chimps can get kind of excited. And this one did, and tore up her trailer. So after that, I went on to work and sing with other local bands. Spade Cooley and his band. I did a talent show on the Spade Cooley with the Spade Cooley band out at the Foreman Phillips County Barn Dance in Baldwin Park. It was on a Wednesday night, and I won the contest, and the prize was to go down to Santa Monica and sang with Spade's full orchestra down there. So I went down to Lick Pier in Santa Monica, and we rehearsed in the afternoon, and then that night when I came out on the stage with my guitar to sing, they called me out. There's about 8,000 or 9,000 people down there. I've never seen that many people in one place in my life. I was a little bit nervous to start with, but once I got the music going, everything just went right along real well. So I met a lot of really wonderful people, and I could go on and on with the people that I've worked with. Wade Ray is one of the great fiddle players of all time. And then I started my own band after I got out of the Army. I started my own band and worked locally around Los Angeles, the little nightclubs. And one of the nightclubs that I worked at back in the 60s and 70s was the Palomino Club, North Hollywood. And at that time, I was producing television shows for Cal Worthington. We had a Sunday afternoon show called Cal's Corral, and we had a lot of wonderful stars appear on there for the first time, like Buck Owens and Merle Haggard, and everyone from the Grand Ole Opry was on our show except Eddie Arnold. I think that's because he was too busy counting his money back home in Tennessee or something like that. But Cal's Corral ran for 12 years, and it gave a lot of musicians their chance to be seen and heard. And Glenn, my good buddy Glenn, was on our show along with Fred Maddox, and we just had a wonderful line of talent on Cal's Corral. And it was probably one of the most watched shows on Sunday afternoon that there was around in those days. And we would do the TV show for about 3 hours. We'd have different bands come on and play a half hour. And then we'd go and play in the clubs that night, so we were doing double and triple shifts. And back in those days, when you're in your 20s and around there, you got the energy to do that. But I wouldn't want to do it anymore. It's just a little too much. But back then, we didn't even think about it. We just went out and played. So we played with Johnny and Joni Mosby. They were a good act. They recorded for Capitol Records. And Glenn Campbell worked with my band, and he played guitar with me for about a year and a half. And I introduced him to American Music, my publishing company that I worked for up in Beverly Hills. And I got Glenn a real good job doing demo sessions for all the songs we'd write. And he turned out to be such a great musician that all the recording artists in Hollywood and around were calling Glenn Campbell to do the sessions. And Glenn was playing with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and all the singers around town back in the 60s and 70s. He's a good friend of mine. And the Palomino Club, they featured a lot of guest stars there. Excuse me. Jerry Lee Lewis was there, and who else came in there? I can't... Eddie Cochran was, I think Eddie Cochran was there. I'm not sure. I met him at former Phillips County Barn Desk when he was working with Hank Cochran. They called themselves the Cochran Brothers. But the Palomino, when I was doing the TV shows for Cal Worthington, I started a talent show there on Thursday nights and did it for a couple, 3 years. And it ran on another 7 or 8 years after I left there. But had a lot of good talent come through there that went on to become pretty good musicians and get a lot of work in the country music field. My band played there on Monday nights, on the off night on Monday nights for quite a while. Wayne Stewart would come in there and sing with us once in a while. And he had a lot of great hit songs back in those days. Waltz of the Angels and just so many that he wrote and recorded. And he had a great band. He worked at George's Roundup for many years in Long Beach, but then he moved to a little club right around the corner from the Palomino Club. And he wasn't there very long. The Palomino Club had all the action, so the club around the corner, even though they had Wayne Stewart there, couldn't hold up to it. So the Palomino wound up being the number one country music club in California. And I worked with just so many people. Joe and Rose Mathis. I worked with them on Cal's Corral and Country Music Time. That was a Saturday night show. And Joe and Rose, I wrote a song called If I Could See the World Through the Eyes of a Child at that time, and it was recorded by Patsy Cline and Lawrence Welk's band. A guy from Lawrence Welk's band recorded it, and several other people. And it was quite a thing to hear someone like Patsy Cline sing one of your songs. I don't know if she ever appeared at Palomino Club or not. I know that Ray Price, he appeared there several times. He was one of the big stars that we were there with. So, but the Palomino, they had so many movie stars that come in there, and people are just in town looking for jobs. Delaney Bramlett was one of the members of Gene Davis's band. He went on to do real well on his own with was it Bonnie and Delaney? They had some pretty good songs. And the club business really thrived in those days because of the exposure they got on shows like Cal's Corral and Country Music Time. And the Palomino Club was, like I say, the number one club, because so many people came there to sing. Buck Owens came on one Monday night when we were playing there. That's after he'd got a contract with Capitol Records, and he slid in the door and tried to hide, and I saw him come in the door. So I was going to have him come up, but he sent a note up and says, "Don't call me up," you know. So I didn't call him up, but later on the night he says, "Why didn't you call me up?" So I said, "I couldn't read your mind." I said, "I read your note, though." But the Palomino Club was it should have been a historical landmark too from in North Hollywood, because so many great artists work there, and there's much history there in country music and rockabilly music. So I was very, very happy that I had the opportunity to work at the Palomino Club. And the other clubs around town, we played down on Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. We had the Saddle Club that most of the bands played there, and then the Wade Ray played down at Cowtown, and he had a great band there. And Johnny and Joni Mosley played at Ray's Bandbox. They're all on the same street on Vermont Avenue, all the way down to down in the South Bay area, where they had the Hitchin Post down there, where a lot of the people played locally. And every once in a while, Bob Wills and his band would swing through town, and I was doing a morning radio show for Cal Worthington on KXLA at that time. It was from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd play guitar, and then we'd play records back at the station. Cal Worthington really loved Bob Wills' music because he was from Texas. He was born in Oklahoma, but he was raised in Texas. And we had Bob Wills and his entire band come in Cal's office, which was about 15 by 15 square, and the whole band gathered in and did a half-hour show of Western Swing. And that was quite an experience at the car lot there. I produced a lot of shows. When they first started at Cal Worthington's, we had them remote from the dealership right out of the car lot. And we had a bandstand set up on the grease rack. We built a real beautiful bandstand over the grease rack, and then we raised it up so people could see, and decorated the place up real well. And Marty Robbins came in when he had El Paso out as a hit, and he got up there with his band and sang El Paso and all of his other hits. And we had so many people there that they spilled out onto the streets, and they blocked Slauson Avenue in both directions. So the Huntington Park Police Department had to come out and shut the traffic down in that area. And I remember that day Cal Worthington sold every used car he had on his used car lot that would start. He had so many people there. And that was just because Marty Robbins was out there. But it was a wonderful time in country music. So much was going on, and the opportunity to be with these people like Spade Cooley and Ole Rasmussen and all these people who were the pioneers in the music at that time. Money couldn't buy that kind of opportunity that I just fell into and really loved, and I was sorry to see it pass, and then get into other kinds of music. Well, we went into the hootenanny thing, the folk music for a while, and that kind of took over. But I still remember the days of Four-Star Records and all the old dance halls that we had around at that time. Harmony Park Ballroom, where Bob Wills used to play and Tommy Duncan used to play. They would just pack the places with people. And it was a great experience. So, do you have any more questions?
I'm curious, can we talk about some of your Four-Star Records about here?
Yes. Yeah, in 1956, 1955, Rockin' Red Wing, Pink Cadillac came out. And that did real well. I did it locally on a lot of TV shows, but we never could get the proper distribution on it to yeah, we had Pink Cadillac and Some Like It Hot and Whoppity Bop and Rockin' Red Wing, and the Big 78 was my first record I made for Cormac Records. And they were in business for about 3 years, and they ran out of money. But Johnny Horton and I made some records there. I think I made about 6 sides for them, and Johnny made about 6 sides for them. And Rockin' Red Wing was on Load Records. That was Terry Fell. He owned that label. Terry Fell was the guy who wrote Truck Driving Man and so many great songs, country music songs, that have been recorded by major artists. Terry had his studio in Norwalk, California, and I recorded a lot of songs for him there. And these songs now, the records, if you can find them in real good shape. I played in England in 1998 in October, and the disc jockey there on BBC interviewed us, and he said that Pink Cadillac in pristine condition would go for about $500 or $600 just for the one record. So when we were there, I had a couple, but I didn't sell them. I just took them over to. I brought them back. I didn't want to get rid of them after I found out what they were, pricing them at. So I thought maybe later, 100 years from now, they might be worth another $5. Pink Cadillac, yes. They had that out on a 78, but I never did get a copy of the 78, and that's something I'm looking for. And it would be priceless as far as I'm concerned. The 78 on Pink Cadillac, and the others, Whoppity Bop and Some Like It Hot and Two Rock a Four. Those were the ones that came right after Pink Cadillac. But Pink Cadillac did the best of all the songs there. Rusty Draper recorded that, I think, in the late 70s. I think he had a record come out on it. He has it on a CD now that's out that you can find in all the music stores. And we had a lot of wonderful recording experiences. We recorded those songs at Four-Star Records in Pasadena up on the second floor. It's kind of a loft that had egg cartons nailed up on the walls to give you soundproofing. And we recorded those songs on a mono-track Magnacorder home recorder on in a little booth there. Jimmy Bryant was on guitar, and George Tracy, he was a great movie actor and a great bass player, upright bass player. We had a real great session, and Ellery Hearn was my recording engineer. He recorded all the songs on the Four-Star label. And I found out that Ellery Hearn, I lost track of him after Four Star sold out to Challenge and went their own way. But Ellery Hearn was the engineer that did all my Four Star records, and I found out he was in Irvine, and I called and got his name through information, and I found out he's 85 years old, and he's playing golf about 3 days a week, and I've got to get together with him and do a photo session with him just to get something in for my collection. He recorded Patsy Cline there, and so many great people that came through Four Star. He had some great hits like Don't Let the Stars Get in Your Eyes, and just on and on and on. That we have quite a lot of stories. He made tape copies of every session, and one of them fell into my hands that I still have. It's a 10-inch reel. It has a lot of the original Four Star recordings that we made, including Pink Cadillac and those that I treasure quite highly. And it's got a special place in my collection.
I was curious, what those songs have on you? Lonely Weekend. Can you talk about that song?
Well, the Lonely Weekend that I recorded on the backside of Rockin' Red Wing, it's not the same one that Charlie Rich recorded. Charlie Rich has an up-tempo. Mine was a ballad, but a lot of people liked it. It was a nice slow song, but Rockin' Red Wing, of course, was the one that got all the action. I did the Dick Clark show, and on the Dick Clark show, I appeared with Chubby Checker and Bobby Rydell, who were big rock and roll stars back in those days. I wrote a song. The first song I ever wrote when I was in my late teens was a song called Turn the Card Slowly, and Patsy Cline recorded that as her first record on Coral Records, and that's where I got acquainted with her. And she recorded that one, and If I Could See the World Through the Eyes of a Child, and Who Can I Count On, which is another one I wrote that did very well. I have a story about that one. Willie Nelson was doing the Cal's Corral TV show on a Sunday afternoon. He was playing bass with Ray Price's band, and he and I wound up in the back room by ourselves there. For some reason, we were back there by ourselves, and he took his guitar and says, I want to sing you a song I just wrote. So I said, well, go ahead. And he said, crazy, crazy. He was singing all the way through with his guitar, you know. And he said, what do you think? I said, sounds great to me. He said, Patsy Cline's going to record it in about 3 weeks back in Nashville. So I took his guitar and said, let me sing a little song I wrote. So, who can I count on if I can't count on you? I sang it all the way through, and he said, you have a tape on it? I said, sure. I gave it to him. He took it back to Nashville and got it recorded on the backside of Crazy. So I had a million seller right there just because of Willie's generosity. It's quite a thrill. We had other people on like Cowboy Copus, one of the stars that died with Patsy Cline in the plane crash. And I remember that day I came in and people were all talking about the plane crash that killed Patsy Cline and Hawkshaw Hawkins and Cowboy Copus. And it hadn't been maybe a few months before that Cowboy Copus was on our show out there on Cal's Corral. So it was kind of a real, very sad day for us there. And Cal's Corral was, it ran, like I say, for 12 years, and we put out an album, a Cal's Corral album. I have one, and it has Buck Owens on it, and Gene Davis, and all the local people that are on it, Tex Jinx Carmen, and just everyone on the show. There's 12 of us, 12 acts that we got on there. And we sold it off the television. It sold very well. I also did a gospel album that we sold off the television show, and it did real well. And we still enjoy listening to that one once in a while. But good old days, the Palomino Club, and Saddle Club and the big club down in Long Beach, Bonnie Price's Foothill Club. Stuart Hamlin worked at the Foothill Club, and that goes back a long ways. Stuart Hamlin, that was back in the middle 40s that he worked the Foothill Club. He was a great singer and a great entertainer and great storyteller, too. He could tell a lot of great stories. So I had the privilege of working with Stuart Hamlin at the Palomino Club. He was there one night and did a great show that we'll never forget. Along with Chill Wills, the old movie star, the guy that wrote the bomb down on the movie. What was Dr. Good Love or True Love or whatever that is? Strangelove, Dr. Strangelove, yeah. And Chill Wills, he was out there that night that Stuart Hamlin was there.
What did Palomino a lot of the stuntmen who were?
Oh, God, a real good friend of mine, Tony Epper. He was a young man, a good singer, too. And when Spade Cooley wrote a song while he was in prison, and he sent the song, somehow it got back to me, and we made a record of it on my label, Galahad Records, and Tony sang it. And he, on the other side of it was Detour, or one of those up-tempo Western swing songs. But it was called Cold Gray Bars. And Spade Cooley wrote that in the prison, and he sent it to me, and we got it recorded. And I still have some of the singles, a box of the singles, 45s that Tony Epper made on Galahad. And it was really a good record. A lot of stuntmen came in there, and I think that's why the Palomino Club was chosen as a site for so many movies and TV shows to be filmed there, because it just had the soul and the feel of a real country honky-tonk.
We're getting ready to talk to Chris now. Imagine the place in the
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was, I never did get to make a movie. I came real close one time when I was working with Cliffy Stone. They had a movie that was coming out called The Point of No Return with, I think with John Wayne. He was one of the actors in it. And I was supposed to play guitar and just sing as a single in the movie, sitting around the airplanes and all the pilots around and all that. But before I rehearsed it and everything with the director and did a lot of work on it, but I got drafted, so I gave up on that. So, but those were the really wonderful days of the Palomino Club, and all the wonderful people came in there. They're real great guys, musicians. A lot of stories that probably when you leave, I'll remember them that occurred there at the Palomino Club. Jerry Lee Lewis was quite a colorful show there. He was a wild man. He called himself a killer, you know. And he was really but he put on a great show.
Johnny Burnett.
Johnny Burnett and Dorsey Burnett. I worked for their aunt, a little club down in Southgate.